Bible. Okay, so again, that will be Jonah, the whole chapter 4. That's on page 923. Okay, in reverence to God's word, may I request everyone to please rise. Jonah chapter 4, verse 1, altogether. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was angry. And he prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, is not this what I said when I was yet in my country? That is why I made haste to flee to Tarshish. For I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and relenting from disaster. Therefore, now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. And the Lord said, Do you do well to be angry? Jonah went out of the city and sat to the east of the city and made a booth for himself there. He sat under in the shade, till he should see what would become of the city. Now, Lord God appointed the plan and made it come up over Jonah, that it might be a shade over his head to save him from his discomfort. So Jonah was exceedingly glad because of the plan. But when dawn came up the next day, God appointed a worm that attacked the plant so that it withered. When the sun rose, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah so that he was faint. And he asked that he might die and said, It is better for me to die than to live. But God said to Jonah, Do you do well to be angry for the plan? And he said, Yes, I do well to be angry enough to die. And the Lord said, You pitied the plant for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow, which came into being in a night and perished in a night. And should not I pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also much cattle? May God bless the reading of His word. We may be seated.
Good morning, everyone. The title of the message this morning is The Prodigal Prophet. If you think about it, the story of Jonah, now that we're about to end, the story of Jonah bears close similarities to the story of the prodigal son in the book of Luke, chapter 15. At the beginning of the story, there's this young boy who desired this inheritance from his parent, his father. And so he asked his father to give him his inheritance. Now, when you say that to your dad who's still alive, what you're really saying is, Dad, I wish you were dead. You don't get your inheritance while you're still alive. And yet, this son got his inheritance, and what did he do? He squandered it in reckless living in a distant country far away from his father's home. Is that like Jonah? That Jonah took all of these blessings from the Lord in the way that the Lord had blessed his life, blessed his country, and called the nation of Israel to be a blessing for all nations. And he took that blessing from the Lord and he squandered it in a distant country. Remember the map? He was told to go to Nineveh, around 500 miles north of Israel. But what he did is went the furthest he could go to the west, to Tarshish, by the Straits of Gibraltar. And there he squandered the grace of the Lord. But like the prodigal son, the younger son, a severe famine came to that city where he moved in, and he found himself in utter destitution, that he found himself hiring himself to feed pigs. Remember that? Now, Jews don't eat pigs. Jews don't eat pork. It is considered unclean. And so, what depths have this young boy fallen into that his job were to feed unclean animals? But it doesn't stop there. See, the son was so hungry. He was so impoverished in his soul and in his being that he not only longed to eat pork, he longed to eat the pods that the pigs were eating. Isn't that like Jonah? In his rebellion against God, the Lord hurled a great storm, and then he found himself at the bottom of the ocean inside of the great fish, being digested in the fish. And then there he cried out to the Lord like that son. Father, I've sinned against you, against heaven and against you. I'm no longer fit to be called your son, make me as your hired servant. Essentially, that's what happened in Jonah chapter 2, where Jonah cries out to the Lord and he remembers the temple of the Lord and declares salvation belongs to the Lord, and and that was enough. And then the fish vomited him out to dry land. Now we come to the last half of the book of Jonah, and now Jonah is no longer the younger son, he's the older brother. See, the older brother in the parable of the prodigal son heard that there was singing and dancing in his father's house. When he came close to home, he asked the servant, what's going on? And the servant said, you know what, your younger brother came home, and now your father has thrown him a feast. He gave him the robe, he gave him the robe, the shoes, and the signet ring, and he's a son again. He was dead, he is now alive. And this whole merrymaking is because of your younger brother was come home. And when it happened to the older brother, he became really angry. He didn't want to come into the house, but yet, in the midst of this merrymaking, the father spotted that his older son was not in the party. And what does the father do? He comes out to the older son and speaks to him. Isn't it right that we should be happy because your brother was once dead and now alive, he was lost and then he is found? And just like that, the story of the prodigal son ends with no reconciliation. The younger brother came back home. The older brother, what had happened to him? Don't we feel that same sense at the ending of Jonah? The last verse in the passage we read says, and should not I pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and so much cattle, and then you're left hanging. Whatever happened to Jonah? Jonah is the prodigal prophet. Isn't it true in our lives that we can be the younger brother and the older brother at the same time? And when it comes to us, we long for God's grace. But when God shows His grace to other people, we become angry. That's the irony of Jonah. So let's reconsider this. Let's join our hearts and pray. Father, we thank you for your word. Thank you, Lord, because it just impacts our souls. We are Jonah. Father, I pray that you would speak your word to us. Thank you because it is you who takes initiative to bring your word to stubborn people who want to come in to hear your word here when it goes out. And you have indeed come out to meet us when you came to our world, Jesus, and you are the Word of God. And that you died that we might be reconciled to God. And so, Lord, we submit to you now our minds, our affection, and our wills. Holy Spirit, move in a mighty way because you are a pastor, you are a leader, you are a guide. Point us in the direction of Jesus. And we want to be conformed to Him and changed by Him. In Jesus' name, amen. I did a little online shopping yesterday. And I was shopping for pulpits, actually. And I was researching pulpits. And something about pulpits, right? I wanted to see what pulpits look like, and I found pulpits from Poland. It's really just spoke to me, and it's calling out to me. You need this pulpit. And so, whenever the Lord leads us to get our own building, man, I'm begging you, get me this pulpit. Look at it. It's amazing. It's a cathedral in Western Poland. And it doesn't look apparent, but if you look closely to the pulpit, it's a fish, right? And so the idea is, the pastor, or what pastors were called before, parsons, would come from the backstage, right? So I imagine there's that backstage here, and then there's the mouth of a fish here. Start preaching, right? And I thought that, wow, this is a nice pulpit. And I realized it's not exclusive to this church. And there's another pulpit like it where it's elevated stairs, and it's supposed to be a whale. So, and you preach from that, and wait, there's more. I mean, more pulpits, like a lectern like this with a fish's mouth, and Jonah was a success. The idea here is before the Tarzan would come and bring the word of the Lord, he would come into, so to speak, the belly of the fish. A mental reminder that he has to be broken by God. That the word of God should speak to him first and really dissect him and digest him. And then he comes out emerging, not in a lofty manner, but in a kind of weird manner, showing that God has been dealing with me. From this perspective, I bring the word of the Lord to you. Just like Jonah. Now, Jonah, when he preached the message that God had intended him to preach, albeit begrudgingly, it was a success. Right? Remember what we talked about last week. Jonah began to go into the city, going a day's journey, and he called out, he had 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. They called for a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest of them to the least of them. Jonah spoke 5 words in the Hebrew language. In the English, that's what he said. Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. It's very haphazard preaching. You would remember that Nineveh is described to be such a big city, and it will take you 3 days just to visit it. But notice, Jonah went a day's journey and started speaking. And this is a very haphazard kind of going into a city, just found a spot there and just started talking. And the Lord gave him a very specific message, called out its evil. And all Jonah did was tell them when, right? His sermon answers the question when. When will Nineveh be overthrown? 40 days. That's the entirety of its message. There are more to the message that needs to be preached, like why would Nineveh be overthrown? Namely, their evil has come up to God. Or who will overthrow Nineveh? Would it be Babylon? Would it be Egypt? No, it will be God who will overthrow Nineveh. Or the question of how do you prepare for this great catastrophe? Is there any way that you can be spared from it? Jonah never said anything of that. And so this is a very deficient message, right? And this is a very haphazard prophet who just does the minimum just to say, okay, God, I've obeyed you. And sometimes I do that, right? And sometimes, okay, you go there and you share the gospel and they go, okay, how are you? Okay, now, you know what, I go to church. See you next Sunday. I mean, sometimes you just do the bare minimum. Jonah did that, but the amazing thing about this story, and the people of Nineveh believed God. They called for a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest to the least of them. Remember, even the king of Nineveh rose up from his throne, put on sackcloth, and he issued a decree that everybody should mourn and lament, even the animals. But he would eat. Nineveh, Jonah was a success in Nineveh, right? But, if you think about it, growing up, they always thought that this is the end of the story, right? Jonah rebelled against God, goes to Tarshish, gets caught up in a storm, eaten by a fish, brought back to Nineveh, he preached the end, right? Jonah was a success, but there's more to the story. See, here's the reason why I strongly believe that the Bible is written by God Himself. Because if it is written by with human intentions, human beings with human intentions, gosh, if I was reading about this, I would stop at chapter 3 and say, and he lived happily ever after. But see, there's more to this story. Jonah was a tremendous success, but his attitude towards his success was kind of alarming. It's kind of weird. Notice how our passage opens up this morning. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was angry. Notice the strong emotion. It displeased Jonah exceedingly. Now the theme of anger, the word anger or angry, if you combine it, it appears around 6 times in this passage. We need to say that this is the main point of this story, that he was very angry. He says that he is angry enough to die. What is he angry about? It displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was angry. And he prayed to the Lord. Remember, when you read in the Old Testament, capital L-O-R-D, it's the personal name of God. He's talking to God as somebody he knows on a first name basis. He's talking to Yahweh, and he prayed to Yahweh, and he said, Yahweh, that's the tone. Yahweh, is not this what I said when I was yet in my country? You know, that is why I made haste to flee to Tarshish, for I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love, and relenting from disaster. Therefore, now, Yahweh, please take my life for me, for it is better for me to die than to live. And Yahweh said, okay, Caleb. Do you do well to be angry? Isn't that the sense of it? Are you right? Is this the right attitude right now? You see his indignation. He's calling out God. What is he angry about God? Well, he's angry that God was merciful. He was exceedingly angry. He's complaining. You know, I'm so angry, but yet you're slow to anger. Why can't you just be angry with me? Right? So I want you to destroy all of these people. Don't you see what they have done? Look at all the violence that they have done. And now, you know what? I did the minimum, right? And all you have to do is wipe them out. But yet, you can't do that. How come I'm the only one who's angry and you're not? I'm angry enough to die. It's kind of weird, right? A while ago, we've been praying for our event on November 20th, Cultivate, right? And we're praying that the Lord would bring people into this event. Now, I know that Harold Sale is more popular within Christian circles, but I would strongly encourage you to invite non-Christians. Right? We have limited seats, and let's make effort to invite people who have not yet known the Lord. But imagine with me, on that Wednesday, November the 20th, imagine with me, what if 120,000 people attended our event and got saved? What would you feel? See, at the ending of the story, God says to Jonah, there's 120,000 in Nineveh. They don't know their right hand from their left hand. They're so naive about what they're doing. Remember Jesus on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. People of great violence, they don't know what they're doing. And shouldn't I have compassion towards them? So if 120,000 people attended our event and we somehow fit them and cram them into Alpha Land, the City Club, and we're counting all of these responses, and you know what? Every one of us should take a leave because it will take a long time to count 110,000 and follow them up. Wouldn't that make you happy? Tell you what, it would make me happy. Do you think 120,000 people would make a dent in Makati? I think so. Wouldn't that make you happy? It displeased Jonah exceedingly. Isn't that weird? You know, if you have a career like Jonah, similar to my career, you know what? That looks good on your resume, right? You're better than Billy Graham. You know what? 5 words and everybody comes to meet Jesus, right? Isn't that amazing? Sometimes I pray, Lord, would you use, the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart may be pleasing to you, that it would help other people get to know you. He says 5 words and there was revival. He was angry. He was angry enough to die and to quarrel with God. James says, James 4, verse 1, verse 5 of 2. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war? Within you desire and do not have, so you murder, you covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. Isn't that the reason why we get into fights? We want to believe that we're angry for moral reasons. We're angry because of reasons for justice, right? We want to believe that. But internally what's going on is we have conflicting emotions about what's going on. And even us, we have a quarrel within ourselves that we're projecting on other people. What causes quarrels and fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? And Jonah picked someone to quarrel with, and that someone was no ordinary person. He picked a fight with God. And sometimes we get into a fight with God thinking that we can win. Just Jacob tried it, didn't he? He wrestled with God. He was not quarreling. He was wrestling. We think we can win. And he was so angry he was trying to bend God into his own will. But the problem was not in the side of God. The problem is with Jonah's heart. There's something profoundly wrong with his heart. That he looks at God's heart and his response is tremendous anger. What was wrong with Jonah's heart? I imagine, I ask, what do you think was wrong with his heart? Because he said, it is better for me to die than to live. These are the words that a person who is suicidal says, right? A person who has lost meaning and purpose and passion for life. He says, you know what? There's no use for my life anymore. Would you kill me now? What was so wrong about Jonah's heart? I used that acronym DIE, D-I-E, so that we could remember what's wrong with Jonah's heart. He had three things going on in his heart. And spiritual disillusionment, spiritual idolatry, and spiritual entitlement. Now, before we get into those things, did that hit you just now? Spiritual disillusion, spiritual idolatry, spiritual entitlement. You know what, I did some research, and you know what, last October 9, Jews from all over the world gathered into their synagogues and celebrated Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is Day of Atonement. It is the day that they commemorate. Remember when the Lord gave them the Ten Commandments and they worshiped Baal instead? Remember that funny day? And Moses came up the mountain on their behalf and pleaded with God, and God gave Moses, right, revealed himself to Moses and gracious and compassionate God, so to have in the and set us love. Jonah was exceedingly glad because of the plan. So if really you're reading that, the way you're supposed to read that, you're meant to laugh. Imagine a child throwing a nuclear tantrum. Right? You've seen it. People love kids are smiling. You've seen it, right? I always see it, when I'm in Rockwell, me and Pam, we hang out at Chijiri, the green tea place, right? It's right next to Toy Kingdom, whatever that store is. That's always the place where I see it, because some parents bring their kids to Toys R Us with no intention of buying them stuff. And that's a recipe for disaster, right? So, nuclear tantrums, right? So hot, so angry, and Jonah was throwing a fit outside the city. And God says, you know what, ang init ko, payungan kita, here's the plan. And what was Jonah's feeling about that? It was exceedingly glad. Remember the first part of this chapter? He was exceedingly angry. So, if God shows grace to him, he's happy. If God shows grace to other people, he's mad. If God forgives our sin, we say, Lord, thank you, you're really gracious. But then if somebody offends us and the Lord blesses that person, we say, why do bad things happen to good people? I don't know if you got the memo. You're not that good of a person. And in the grand scheme of things, we deserve nothing from God except His condemnation. But He gives us grace anyway. But yet, our hearts are so hard that we get angry when God shows grace to people that hurt us. As if we haven't experienced His grace, and as if we're not equally undeserving like the next one. Spiritual entitlement. So, but when dawn came up the next day, so how long did he have the plant? One day. Stoking a champion and then quickly, right? Bye. Kind of funny. Bye. But when dawn came up the next day, God appointed a worm that attacked the plant so that it withered. When the sun rose, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah so that he was faint. So I'm imagining Jonah in the belly of the fish losing all of his hair because of the gastric juice, right? Aluna, bato-bato sa langit. It's summer in the Philippines, right? Some of you have experienced this. Beating down in your head. And he asked that he might die, and said, it is better for me to die than to live. Look at the irony here. The Lord appointed the worm. The Lord appointed the scorching east wind. Isn't that ironic? The Lord appointed a storm, the storm obeys. He appoints a fish, the fish obeys. The Lord appoints a worm. A plant first. A plant. The plant grows, right? He appoints a worm. The worm obeys. He appoints the wind obeys. He appoints a prophet, the prophet throws a tantrum. Isn't that funny? So in that one day, he enjoyed the plant, and the next day he saw a worm. Oh, look, nice worm. And then, boom, plant's gone. And he said, kill me now! I just can't seem to catch a break from you. You know what? I'm a good person. I went here to Nineveh even though you know I don't want to be here. I just went here because of you. I said that message. You know what? You did not destroy that people. The least you can do is kill me. I'm entitled to that. And then that question is asked. Do you do well to be angry? Okay ka na. What is your expectation of God? What do you expect God to do for you? You expect God to be like a savings account that you invest something there, and anytime you want it, you can just take it out. Is that God? Or is He actually Lord? The issue here is lordship. Who's the Lord here? Jesus said, how come you call me Lord, Lord, and you don't do what I say? John is referring to God as Yahweh or Lord. He's throwing a fit. You call Him Lord, but really you think you're Lord. What do you expect from God? That's a very important question for us to ask. How's your heart doing with disillusionment, idolatry, and entitlement? How's your heart? Has this stopped being about Jonah and started becoming about you? Because it has become about me a long time ago. I am Jonah. But you know what? God still dealt with Jonah's heart. God is the one who went out. God was the one who took initiative to visit Jonah in his booth. It's funny. Maglalayas na ako, dito ko titira. Shows how it deals with Jonah tenderly. Look at this conversation. But God said to Jonah, do you do well to be angry for the plant? And he said, yes, I do well to be angry. Angry enough to die. Parang bata. Be mature. And the Lord said, look, you pity the plant for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow? And Jonah, I don't know if you noticed, but I was the one who made that grow, not you. Which came into being in a night and perished in a night, and should not I pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know the right hand from the left, and also so many cows. How about the cows, right? You're so concerned about the plant, how about the cows, right? I don't care about the people, but how about the cows? It's funny. God is trying to insert humor here. Jonah, did you see? Even the cows repented. Don't you care about the cows? All you think about is a cheeseburger, right? Save the cows. But what was the Lord doing? Jonah was angry enough to die. He was disillusioned, idolatrous, and entitled. But God was causing Jonah to live. God taught Jonah to listen more and complain less. Which one is better to ask? How is your prayer life or how is your complaining life? Which one is more pertinent to you? If you put it that way, you know what? My prayer life is going bad, but my complaining life is really growing. And whenever I pray to God, Lord, why this, why that, why, that's not prayer, that's complaining. When you pray, Jonah was taking time to pray to God, right? He was having a conversation. That's what prayer is. The body of his prayer was complaints. No time to listen. Questions were repeated over and over again. Do you do well to be angry? Jesus asks more questions than he gives answers. Think about the Gospel of John. The first verse that Jesus says in the Gospel of John is, what are you seeking? One of the last things Jesus said in the Gospel of John to Peter was, do you love me? Sometimes we know the answer, but the answer sometimes doesn't resonate in our souls because we don't understand the question. To whom was the Lord gracious first? Jonah? To them or to you? To you. Okay, what's your problem? Gotta listen more and complain less. Secondly, we have to introspect our motives. Jesus got angry, didn't he? God gets angry. He's slow to anger. It doesn't mean he doesn't get angry. He's just slow to get there. So anger in itself is not bad. It is why you're angry that makes it bad. Do you do well to be angry? Why are you angry? I'm angry because you pardoned them and you're a gracious God. Is that a good reason to be angry? Now think about your strong emotions, the things that you feel exceedingly. Happiness, anger, insecurity, depression, sadness. Insert anything and you ask yourself, do you do well to feel that? Are you really happy about that? Are your motives for being happy that good? Why are you sad? Is your motives good? These emotions are not bad in itself. It is why we feel these emotions. It makes it good or bad. Introspect your motives. Number 3, feel compassion. Shouldn't not I have compassion on those 120,000 people and those cattle? The word that God used is the same sense where Jesus looked at Jerusalem and he felt compassion towards them, the people, because they were harassed and helpless, like a sheep without a shepherd. The sense here is God felt so much pity enough for him to weep over these people, Nineveh. You know what? He's so great, he should not be concerned about us, but he's so emotionally invested in sinners that it churns his stomach, and God says, you know what? Why are you not feeling the way I'm feeling? Because your heart is already hard. We got to learn to feel again. Specifically compassion. And number 4, you got to exhale gratitude as you inhale grace. Every breath is grace. You don't deserve it. G.K. Chesterton was answering that question, what was wrong in the world, in the newspaper, and in your wrote the publisher, he says, to your question, sir, what is wrong with the world, he said, yours truly, G.K. Chesterton. Every breath you take is grace. And if this is grace, then it will come out as gratitude. Not with thankfulness. So Jonah wanted to die. God was giving him life, teaching him to listen more, introspect in his motives, feel compassion, feel gratitude. But now, we are still left hanging, aren't we? Whatever happened to Jonah? I don't know if you've noticed it, but he's not the hero of this story. If nothing else, he is the villain in the story. The hero of this story is God. The damsel in distress is Nineveh. The villain, the hindrance, is Jonah. Whatever happened to this immature, self-centered, throwing a fit, childish prophet or Christian? Whatever happened to this guy? Because it stopped being Jonah a long time ago and started being me. And the answer to this question is very pertinent to my soul, because the answer to this question gives the answer to the question, how about me? Is there any hope for me? because I'm that guy. Disillusioned, idolatrous. Friends, the answer to this question is in the title of the book, Job. Who do you think wrote this book? Who do you think would have knowledge about what happened in the belly of the fish? Or who would have knowledge of what had happened after the revival occurred outside the city? You're left with two options. Number one, Jonah told this to his friends, and his friends told us about it. Number two, he wrote it himself. Remember, he is a prophet to Israel. You know what? Every single Israelite has the heart of Jonah. Look at this thing. The Palestinian, Iraqis, Afghans, they have the same heart. And Jonah here is writing about himself in a self-deprecating way. He's the bad guy. And the lesson is, don't be like me, but look at what kind of God we have. Because it was me that was a hindrance to the salvation of Nineveh, but God overcame me. I'm telling you this story because this is me, and I know that this is you. Don't follow me, follow Him. Jesus comes along, and He says, you know, at the end, the people of Nineveh will rise up against this generation because they repented at the preaching of Jonah, but yet there's someone greater than us now. What would cause us to humble ourselves? If Jonah won't work, and if Jesus won't work, what will? The Nineveh is better than us. But this story is your story and my story. And if God can change Jonah, so much so that he can write this book, and I would imagine with tears in his eyes, blotching the ink on his parchment, I was so insensitive, insecure, self-centered, childish. If God can change that man, He can change me. And therein lies the hope for our souls, because Jesus is the dead Jonah. The only way to deal with a dead heart is to give it a new heart. And that heart is purchased on the cross for you. Let's join Christ. You are the prodigal son, you are the prodigal prophet, O Lord, and yet you're the one who comes out. Lord, the one who waits patiently by the door for us to return, and you're the one who calls us out and meets us in the very heart of our tantrum. Then you pour out your grace, even when you don't have to. We are recipients of your grace, and yet we don't want to be conduit of your grace. We're so myopic in our vision. But you are able to soften his heart, Jonah's heart. And I know, Holy Spirit, you say that you can soften our hearts as well. There is no heart so hard for you to break. You did it for Jonah, would you do it for us? Would you make our hearts soft towards you, soft towards our recipients, soft towards your work? You've done it before. You're doing it again and again. Lord, we submit to you our hearts and our minds at this time. Lord, we thank you. Bless you, Lord. In Jesus' name. I ask you to be constantly in prayer for the events that we have as a church, and also participate in it. It's my privilege to welcome our first time. Not my first time to meet you guys. Good morning. Diana, these people are family. His cousin and niece and nephew. Nice to see you finally. Thank you for coming and visiting with us. And for everyone here, I pray that you feel at home. And let's work together to serve God. Let's all rise for a benediction. Jesus, we look to you and we say, you're right. You're better than Jonah in every single way possible. who would worship you. Jonah went to Nineveh begrudgingly. He did the bare minimum. He went to the cross voluntarily and happily. And you exceeded what we need. Oh, our sins are many, your mercies are few. And I pray we really understand what it means. But first, we really count our sins before you, that we won't just go coasting. We really take account of the things that we do, our motives, our intentions, our actions. Take stock of our sin, and then take stock of your grace, because they are overwhelmingly more. You are Ebenezer. Till now you have helped us. You continue to help us, and forevermore you are our helper. And we thank you, because you're the one who comes out, but we don't want to come in. Thank you for your grace and your compassion towards us. And so may you now, O Jesus, the Lord of reconciliation, the Lord of grace and justice and truth and mercy, the Lord who is slow to anger, the Lord who is merciful, abounding in steadfast love, who does not leave the guilty unpunished. Oh, to you, O Lord, the only God that we have, the only God that we need. To you be the glory, honor, dominion, power, and authority before all ages, in this church, at this time, with this people, now and forevermore.